Hello and welcome to WCAT Chats, where we explore the stories of people in our Westminster community and beyond. I'm Wilson Noell.
And I'm Wyatt Garfinkle. Today we have Westminster alum Judson Wallace, played basketball here for Westminster, went collegiately playing at Princeton, and then playing overseas for teams in Germany, Italy, Spain, Puerto Rico, France. I mean, you name it. We're so excited to have you, Judson, and welcome.
What's up, fellas? It's a pleasure to be here. I'm excited. I was hoping for some makeup beforehand, but it sounds like,
No, you look good. We're all good.
I have a face for radio, so this is going to work out.
Yeah, great.
Well, just starting with some of your Westminster days, we ask a lot of our guests, stuff about Westminster, and I just wanted to know for you personally, what is the most important lesson you learned here at Westminster that you took with you beyond the high school gates?
That's a great question. So I think Westminster is an incredible place. Obviously, it goes beyond, me just walking in from like the parking deck and how incredible the campus. Anytime I take people from out of town or friends of mine and show them kind of what Westminster campus looks like, everybody's like, this is crazy, whatever. But as far as the people, just like, even meeting guys, I mean, I'm still best friends with my buddies from 25 years ago, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I walked in, Trey Malloy's right there. He was my assistant coach coming out. Guy's a great guy. We still stay in touch on a bunch of things. Just the connections you make are incredible. I think that's what I learned, is just how to treat people across the board, whether they're the best football player on the football team or the smartest guy in the physics classroom. I think that's something that you can learn. I think my mom and dad did a good job of kind of getting me to talk to everyone across the spectrum, and Westminster has so many personalities and so many great people.
Yeah,
Awesome.
You can tell you were liked as well because there was like a line of people when I walked in waiting to say hi.
I fooled a lot of people, I guess.
Yeah. So you talked about those connections that you made at Westminster with like Coach Malloy and others. Do you have a favorite memory of playing basketball or something else here?
So I would say my favorite memory of playing basketball here is we played Banneker my senior year.
The Trojans.
And there was a big rivalry. They had a couple good guys, and as far as I'm not a big horn tooter, but I made like a 3-pointer to tie it, and then I made a buzzer beater, which was like probably my only buzzer beater in high school. They were like a rival of ours, and I still have like that VHS that if I'm feeling,
the video.
if I'm feeling down. I don't know if it's at my house, but I think it's at maybe my mom's house. If I ever really get down on myself, I go over there and just pop it into like a 13-inch TV VCR.
Was that in playoffs, or was that just like?
It was a home game, and that was actually the first year of what is now, I guess, Turner Gymnasium, and now it's
the Howell Center.
Yeah. So that was the first year, and a bunch of my friends were there. It was like a Friday night, so it was. I think we like rushed the court. So it was a good time. That was probably my best basketball memory. But I would say this: like Coach Malloy, Coach Boyd, the guys that I was with my senior year, as far as like my career goes, those guys were so willing to help me. I was in the, I wanted to be better. I was a pretty hard worker as it relates to like basketball and whatnot. And Coach Boyd and Coach Malloy were both willing to be in the, I would come at like 6:30 in the morning and go to like the little green gym over there and shoot jumpers and shoot threes and shoot whatever, and try to be like, I'm 6'9", 6'10", try to be a shooter.
Like a wing,
I wanted to be like a wing. I want to be able to shoot. Kevin Durant, sure, not quite as athletic, but yeah. And they were, for those guys with families, teaching responsibilities, all that stuff, to be able to get up 45 minutes early and come. Like now, as an adult, I would say I'm still probably an immature adult, but you realize as you get older how precious like those 45 minutes are for those guys with their families, with their careers. That's a big gift for them to spend 45 minutes with me just for a kid trying to get better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. That goes to show the teachers at Westminster and the coaches, they have so much love for us.
That just might have earned you a B+ instead of a B.
Exactly. That goes out to all the teachers out there. And obviously there's not a lot of 6'9", 6'10" basketball players in high school. So, I'm a student athlete. I know Wilson's a student athlete, and we're curious about the recruiting process. Can you kind of walk through how that was for you?
Mine's pretty interesting because I was like a late bloomer, I would say. I didn't make varsity as a freshman. I didn't make varsity as a sophomore. my junior year, and I was growing, so I was 6 feet as a ninth grader, and I ended up being like 6'8" when I graduated. So across like 4 years, I grew 8 inches, and then I grew like an inch and a half in college. So, you know, I played AAU and all that, but I didn't really get recruited maybe, and even my junior year. So my first 3 games of my junior year were really good. I broke my arm in half my third game of my junior year, so I really didn't play that year either. And then really my junior summer, I played AAU and I played pretty well in like, you know, the nationals and like Vegas, whatever. And so I really started getting meaningful letters and stuff like that my junior summer.
Yep.
And the rules were much different back then with non-NIL.
Oh,
and,
things
you
have
know,
changed.
Things have
Sure.
changed
Yeah.
a lot. I certainly wasn't getting offers for money. You know, it would have been great, but yeah. So I got recruited. You know, I would tell you this: my parents probably did a lot of the recruiting so I ended up going to Princeton. You know, I wanted to go to like Memphis. Like John Calipari was at Memphis. I would get like FedEx packages.
It's kind of hard to turn down.
I mean,
Calipari at
and I
Memphis.
was like DeJuan Wagner and those guys were there.
Yeah.
They were Jordan Brand.
Yeah.
You know, I wanted to go to school like based on shoes.
Yeah.
And my mom and dad would put like Princeton's the #1 rated university on my like pillow and stuff like that and like all this stuff. So they kind of made they were influential, I would say, in recruiting me. But then John Thompson III was there, who I recognized because dad was at Georgetown with Iverson and those guys, which was pretty cool. And then, you know, I kind of came around eventually. And as, you know, you guys will find out, your parents are usually right on a lot of stuff. And they were right. So I committed early my senior year. So a lot of like and I would say my grades were good at Westminster, but maybe not Princeton level. And so there was a little bit of jealousy, I would say, from maybe some students and some teachers were like, you're going to Princeton?
Yeah.
Which was fun, you know. I just, you know, I was like, yeah,
I'm going to
whatever.
Princeton.
Yeah, so, but it was a cool experience. I think it would have been much maybe different if I, you know, was healthy or nowadays. But I enjoyed that experience, and you really do have to kind of keep a level head because everybody, you know, it's like you're the belle of the ball for, or at least people are trying to make you believe you're the belle of the ball.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I was not the belle of the ball. But
What was it like transferring from the Westminster regime to going to a D1 basketball school where you're just constantly working?
Yeah, so I'll tell you this. Westminster, from a preparation standpoint, like I almost think Westminster was harder than Princeton. You know what I mean? Like I think that being, well, okay, I can caveat that. So that being said, like we had grade deflation at Princeton. I would say if you're a basketball, football, and really any sport, you're almost an athlete student. They'll tell you that you're going to be a student athlete, but you know, I'm in the training room before practice. I got 6 hours a day that I'm doing basketball related stuff. Yeah. Okay. And this isn't kind of like, you know, this will be some hot topics for you guys to talk. So you know, you're fighting an uphill battle to get an A against a student who's there to study, who's in the library for those 6 hours. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, you know, I would say to get like B's at Princeton is hardish, but you know, getting like an A and A+ is very, very hard if you're putting 6 hours a day into something not into a sport. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, luckily, I think Westminster does a great job of kind of having, you know, athletics and part of that and a social aspect, and so, and then the course load is also difficult. Like, you know, you guys can speak to it, you know, studying and what they quiz you on.
Not easy, especially if you play sports.
It's not easy. That's why you're, you know, kissing butt to try to get that B+. But I think that Westminster does do a great job of preparing you academically at whatever school you go to. But, you know, it was different because, especially at Princeton for basketball, like I spent most of my time with the basketball players. I was on campus for the winter break, for spring break, for like every break we were there. Like basketball that season stinks as far as holidays, so you spend a lot of like very cold, dark nights with teammates and stuff like that. And you know, that's a little different. But yeah, I think Westminster prepares you very, very well for wherever you go.
Yeah, I've definitely heard from a few people. My mom used to tell me when I was younger that so she went to Virginia.
Yeah.
And she went to Wheeler though, so she was from Atlanta, but she went to public school. And so she said she knew a few people in college there that went to Westminster, and they would always like think everything was so much easier and be like, oh, it's so easy. And I never believed her. But as more people like tell me,
No. I mean, it's true. The challenge is like not whatever work ethic you have at Westminster to maintain that. So like the challenge is if you go to Princeton or Virginia, which are great schools, and say, hey, it was easier in high school, I'm gonna party more, or I'm gonna do this more. Like that's where you can get in trouble. You gotta stick to like your routine and do the same thing. Okay, it's easier, but why can't then I'll make A's. You know what I mean? And I'll do this, and I'll find some time here, but still kind of maintain your level of excellence.
Yeah, exactly.
And you were kind of talking about how you got to maintain work ethic. Athletically, how did you see that you had to step up your work ethic? Because I'm sure as a high schooler, you were in that gym super early at 6:30. Did you have to get in the gym at 6 when you were at Princeton? How did that change?
No, I mean, I think I was kind of thin. And I wasn't a high recruit. Like I said, I wasn't like a super high recruit. As a freshman, I did not play a lot. I played 5-6 minutes a game maybe. It was frustrating. I mean, I literally there was times where I was up there. It was December 29th. All my friends are at home having a good time, and I'm in the snow like getting yelled at. You think about quitting and stuff, especially if you're not playing. So but for me, I was like, I used to always love being in the gym at like 10:30 at night or 6 o'clock in the morning because I knew nobody else was in the gym. So I was like incrementally like improving against everybody else.
Yeah.
So that was the thing for me, but that was like consistent that I probably got from Coach Boyd and Coach Malloy and those guys. And I just kept doing that over and over again. And I didn't start whatever as a freshman. Then I was like honorable mention All Ivy and a starter as a sophomore. And then I was player of the year my junior year. And then, my senior year, I herniated my disc in my back, so it was a little unfortunate kind of halfway through the season. So I ended up being honorable mention again. But like that was like my trajectory was because it's at least through my junior year was because I was continuing to like put in that work.
Yeah. And so you stayed patient. You're talking about how in high school you didn't make varsity freshman, sophomore year. I think that's really important because Westminster is pretty competitive athletically, and there are a lot of people who may get their spirits down if they don't make varsity even as a sophomore. But I mean, it goes to show you can just be so successful if you just keep going.
And
that's
I loved basketball. I had a love for basketball, and I think you need that, especially if you have adversity and whatever. And I'll say my parents were like challenged me to deal with adversity and whatnot. But yeah, you definitely have to love it. If you go to college and play a sport, you've got to love that sport because it is a time commitment. And now they can't really yell at you, but back in the day, you'd have some times where you'd be down on yourself.
Yeah, I know what you mean by that.
Yeah, so
it'll test your love for the game.
All the kids are getting soft these days. They're not as tough
getting
as we
paid
were
too
back in the day.
Yeah. So we talked about from high school to college. What was the kind of transition like going from Princeton to wherever you played next professionally?
Yeah, so I mean, my story there was kind of interesting too. So I like I said, I herniated a disc in my back. I had surgery after the season. I still got invited to like Portsmouth and like some of these post camps for pros. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna have surgery. I'm gonna go try to play a year. So I signed a contract. The team didn't even know I was hurt. I like limped over to a fax machine, signed it, and like limped and went back. So I was recovering from back surgery. I had like a micro discectomy from Dr. Gerald Roach, who I think is a Westminster person, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, so I showed up in Germany my first year, and the team was like, okay, great to have you. We practice tomorrow. And I was like, I actually have to wait a week. I had back surgery, and they were not happy. So, I like restructured my contract. But my thing was like, hey, I went to Princeton. You have a great network in Princeton. I can go back and work in Wall Street if it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
I had like Princeton basketball guys that were like, go do your thing. And if it doesn't work out, we'll give you a job or something along those lines. Yeah. So I went over there, kind of with no pressure, and it ended up working out. I did a bunch of core exercises, got my back kind of relatively strong, had great teammates, was on good teams, and was able to go from essentially like a low-level German team to, Barcelona was probably we were the best team in Europe for 2 years. So that was
that's pretty sick.
That's pretty sweet.
a good like trajectory. I would say.
Yeah. And I know we've all seen the side-by-sides of the basketball games in U.S. and then the European basketball games. Can you, both talk a little bit about what life is like as a basketball player in Europe, but also kind of the game atmosphere? We've seen all the chants and how it goes crazy. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, you've probably seen. So it's a big range. So people talk about European basketball going to play. Like there's teams in Iceland that you're making like $800 a month or something like that, and it's not that great. And then there's teams like Barcelona, or you guys have probably seen the one in Serbia with Partizan, where they're like lighting dynamite.
Yeah,
and, like,
real high level
in
stuff.
the corner, and the whole thing is shaking.
It's like borderline
and,
illegal.
Like Athens, Greece, like those places are incredible to play, and it's amazing. Like you are, in a lot of those cities, basketball in Serbia and ex-Yugoslavia is the thing. Spain, it's the second biggest after soccer. Italy, probably the same. A lot of those. But you are a celeb in those cities, and it's. I mean, that part is great. Like you rarely pay for meals, and you run around and take pictures with people. But you also have to. You can't. You can't like get in trouble, or someone's going to. You get whatever. So
that's not good.
There's a management of your behavior that goes along with it. Yeah. But also, if you want to be the best basketball player, you can. Your same thing as I was telling you. Like you're on a routine. You're having dinner at the right time. You're working out, and the thing about it is you do have a lot of free time. So as opposed to like my friends that were bankers in New York and working 80 hours a week, I had a 2-hour lift in the morning and a 2-hour practice at night, and I was taking a nap in the afternoon. And yes, the team, like when we were traveling, I was on a schedule with them the whole time. But essentially, getting paid to play a sport is not a bad thing.
Oh, absolutely.
It's a good.
Got to be one of the best things.
Deal.
Curiously, what was your favorite place that you either played at but traveled to while you were in Europe, or even Puerto Rico?
I would say my two favorites were Barcelona. So Barcelona's like my favorite city. It's got like everything. It's beautiful people, the ocean, great food, culture, all that stuff. We were also, like, I would say the best team in Europe my 2 years. I had great teammates that I was best friends with, and that was a great spot. I will say my year in Milan after, I was single. We played for Armani's. Armani was our owner. We won the championship that year for the first time in like 25 years. We were going to like fashion shows and stuff. The soccer teams were like failing. The basketball team became like the hot thing to go to. So there was a lot of perks for that year, and we won the championship. Same thing, great guys, and it was a lot of fun too.
Yeah. So fashion shows.
Yeah.
See, you said you were good for in front of camera.
I'll tell you a good fashion show story. We went to the Armani show, and I was like second row with two other teammates, and we were sitting behind like the guy who's the actor from like Van Helsing. I can't remember his name. And then like one like Chinese pop star who's like, super famous. And they have this thing called Fashion TV, which is like on all the TVs in Europe, and I'm sure it's on YouTube TV somewhere, but they'll film all these fashion shows, and they'll ask like, famous people like what they're wearing and all that stuff. So they came to our group, and I was wearing, and they were like, CJ, what are you wearing? And what they want you to say is like, this is Armani Collezione, like, 2015.
Because you're at a fashion show.
Yeah. And I didn't know that, so I was like, oh yeah, these are my favorite jeans, and my mom gave me this for Christmas last year. And the woman was like, what? Like, all right, well, hey, what are you wearing? And, I got made fun of for that. That wasn't the right answer that they were looking for.
Hilarious.
But my mom did like it because I gave her a shout out.
Yeah, she gave you on national television.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I wasn't invited back to the fashion show.
I was just wondering, so I know that like guys like Luka Doncic came from Real Madrid, right? That's it, yeah. Mm-hmm. Was there anybody that you played when you were in one of those countries that is like, either now very good or was very good or you thought could have been very good? That was just like
so Luka was like when my last year in Barcelona we played against Luka. He was 16. He was super young, and he became kind of Luka. Like I would say the next year or the year after, he was the MVP of the EuroLeague. Yeah. That was the year before he got drafted. So, but you could tell he was really good because he played a couple minutes, and they would be like, that's a 16-year-old kid. 16, yeah. I would say my Barcelona team, like there was 14 guys on the team. I was one of 2 that wasn't either coming from the NBA or going to the NBA. Yeah. So like one of my best friends is Joe Ingles. Who like played for the Jazz for a long time.
Yeah. Australian?
Yeah, he looks like an accountant. But he's like, he's like balding and kind of like, not like super strong, but he's a beast.
He's also hilarious.
He's a great shooter, and he's really funny, and he's like, gets in people's heads. Him and Paul George went at it during the playoffs. Yeah. So like, he's probably the one that I bring up. I would say also, I have a buddy who's still playing. He's 42. He's still playing in the ACB. He was the MVP of the team of the league last year, and it's probably the second best league in the world. His name's Marcelinho Huertas. He's probably one of my best buddies.
We got to keep that in mind.
I went to his wedding. He's the best point guard. Maybe he's the best point guard alive. As far as pure point guard, if you're a point guard and listening to this and want to watch how to operate like a pick and roll or anything like that, go watch Marcelinho Huertas highlights, and you will. It's like, I don't know if I can say pornography, but it's like basketball pornography for a point guard.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to kind of, we had a question about your Democratic Republic of Congo passport.
Okay.
Is this true?
I do. I was a political. I had a passport from the Congo, Brazzaville. I was like, Congo wanted. I was going to play for the national team, so the Congo had a bunch of athletic guys. They wanted kind of like I was going to be the captain and kind of the leader and like tell them how to do stuff.
Yeah.
Because at that
vet
point,
in the room a little bit.
Vet, exactly. Yeah. At that point, I had like 10 years of Euro basketball under my belt. I ended up hurting my back, so I was supposed to play an Afro basket is what it's called. It's like Euro basket or whatever, and I ended up hurting my back in my last game in France, so I couldn't do that. But I was able to do that through a process, and that's all I'm going to say.
All right, that's interesting. We'll leave it at that. We're going to go to 2, more fun, lighter questions. We're going to go, being from Atlanta and going to Westminster, what is your favorite place to eat on West Paces Ferry or Waypay? You know what I mean?
West Paces Ferry. I mean, I was used to, OK Takeaway is, I'll go get in there and get like the chicken pot pie. It has to be on West Paces?
It can be anything.
La Grata. I'm a big La Grata fan as far as Italian. It's in like a senior living facility. It's a pretty interesting spot. I'm a member of this Warhorse place up here on Northside Parkway that's close by.
You do, yeah.
But I mean, I'll go old school and say Houston's on West Paces Ferry right there is like I grew up going there.
That's a classic.
It's classic. They don't have chicken fingers anymore. That was my go-to when I was younger, but that's gonna be my answer.
Yeah, I remember when I was in the elementary school, the lower school here, there was a Steak and Shake just down the road.
There was a Steak and Shake. That was a great spot. And you guys weren't here, but with the Chick-fil-A, where the Chick-fil-A is right now, there used to be a Dairy Queen. Oh, way back in the day. If you really want to know, if you want to take it way back.
Probably get some milkshakes. Yeah, we used to go to Steak and Shake after school on like Fridays, and then we go get ice cream, and it was amazing. It was like peak. And our second fun question is, who is your pick for March Madness? Do you have a Cinderella?
Wilson, do you want to start with your pick?
Yeah, what are y'all's picks?
I'll start with my pick.
I'll sum it up.
So I'm a big UNC UVA guy. That's where my parents went, and I'm devastated because Caleb Wilson got hurt, and I can't pick the Tar. I don't believe the Tar Heels can go far anymore.
No, I agree.
I've got UVA going a little bit, and my champion is Arizona.
That's a good pick.
I think Arizona can win. Their freshmen are really good. And then my biggest dark horse is I have BYU going to the Elite Eight or the Final Four.
So you have BYU beating who?
I have them beating Purdue for sure.
Purdue.
And then I have them losing to Arizona in the Elite Eight because I watched them play a bunch and I loved Richie Saunders, but he got hurt too. But I still think they can go far.
Zonas, they've got a bunch of beasts.
A lot of teams are banged up.
Yeah, Richie Saunders. They basically have like 3 guys who average each like 20 points a game, and nobody else. And Richie Saunders is one of them, and he got hurt. But I still think Ace Advanza and Rob Wright can lead them to go far.
I like Pete too. He's a beast.
Yeah.
I don't watch a whole lot of basketball. I went to one UNC game this year, and that was it. So I'm going to be a little boring with my pick. Mine was Michigan. I do have Arkansas making it to the Final Four, I think.
I like that.
Winning a conference championship, especially the SEC, which is on the rise now for basketball. I have Arkansas beating Purdue, as well as beating Arizona.
Yeah.
So I think they can make 2 upsets happen.
Darius Acuff is legit.
Yeah,
have you seen him? He's
He's like the number 1 or number 2 pick, I bet.
He's really good.
All right, finish it off.
I filled out a couple of these brackets. Arizona's a winner in one of mine. I'm in a Calcutta, which is it's a thing where me and a bunch of buddies own Florida, so I'm kind of cheering for Florida to go back to back, but also it's hard for me to cheer for Florida because I'm a Georgia fan. My brother went to Alabama. His wife is actually a Florida girl, so But from purely a monetary perspective, I'll say Florida. My dark horse would be My 2 dark horses for you are I do love Purdue. I think Purdue's awesome.
He's gonna go the Rick Pitino route right here.
I was gonna say St. John's.
Yeah.
I think St. John's can be nasty, but I mean they have to get by Kansas if that guy decides to play.
Darren Peterson.
If he decides to play, then they could run into trouble there. And then Iowa State. I think Iowa State's got a bunch of guys. They've got a bunch of like Euro guys that are like 6'8" and like know how to shoot and play.
Shoot threes,
So those are my picks. I don't even think I really gave a singular pick, but those are between those.
I like.
That's what I'm taking.
I wanted to go hard on Alabama, but that guy just got arrested.
Alabama just got arrested. Yes.
So I can't.
And Georgia's in there. Georgia's got I think they're an 8 or 9 seed. So
Georgia, they've got St. Louis. What's that guy's name? Robbie Avila, right?
He's like from Indiana State.
Yeah,
he's a good one. So
I
mean, I think the tournament with like the NIL and all that stuff, I think it has changed and will be super interesting. I think there'll be a lot of like the 3 through, and saying this, I guess all the 1 seeds advanced last year, but like I think 3 through like 7, a lot of those teams have a chance. You know what I mean? So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll see. I think it'll be a good tournament. This is an awesome like couple weeks. I remember like when I was here. The cool teachers would like set up TVs and you could like watch during class and stuff like that.
Yeah, so we actually during March Madness have like there's some sort of what's the space called?
Which one?
The maker space. Something
like the innovation.
Yeah,
lab?
the innovation
Yeah,
lab, and
big
there's a
screen.
game
We didn't have
played for the whole second floor of Hawkins.
We didn't have flat screens and all that stuff back in the day. So
All right.
And probably shouldn't say this, but hopefully the teachers don't catch us watching it on our laptops.
Yeah, again. Last year
we
it
didn't
made
have
the
laptops
Wi-Fi
either,
like crash. No, it was not good.
that's funny. They're clever.
That's about it for us. Wyatt, Judson, any last thoughts? Do you want to share?
Thank you guys for having me. It's a pleasure to be back here. I mean, this place, this production lab is pretty incredible. So you guys have a great setup here. I don't know, I'm not one to I'm certainly not qualified to like give advice and stuff, but you guys have done a great job and keep doing what you're doing and take advantage of this because I mean this is awesome.
All right, awesome. Thank you. Well, that's it for WCAT Chats this week. Tune in to the next episode. Thank you.